well. And in today's tutorial, it's going to be a continuation of the course. Actually, the last revision, familiarization phase on the course EDU233. Okay, because we're going to conclude the course today. I'm going to take some other course in our next class. Okay, and basically, it's been a long, about 5 classes we've had on the course, and I believe we all have been updating our notes. For those of us who are here to submit our notes, please let's do all to submit the notes. And basically, like I made mention of in the retrospective class, that I'm away from home, as you can see. So basically, we'll not be using the whiteboard to explain terms, and it's going to be more word of mouth, just to explain to all. So we are expected to pay detailed attention and listening effectively and attentively as the class commences, and do well to also take down notes as we comment the class. With this being said, let's hop straight into it. Okay, so we have method of study. Okay, method of study. Now, the course itself, it's all about studying and how students can be enhanced to take advantage or make best at all studying in the respective educational career. And today we will be talking about method of study. Now, when we say method of study, the significance of studying in the life of any student, right, or in the life of student, cannot be overemphasized. Meaning that studying is highly essential in the life of any student. Anyone who has dedicated himself to learning a particular skill or a profession, being a master's, all right, or bachelor degree holder of a career, definitely must study. Okay, so the essence, the significance, the importance of studying cannot be overemphasized, all right, in the life of students. Now, students is studying is very essential. Okay, studying is very essential to good academic performance. That is to say, without sufficient studying, not just studying, all right, without sufficient, adequate, or enough studying, okay, then there can be no success in the academic path you might have chosen. Now, I said studying is very essential to good academic performance. Tantamount to good academic performance is studying. Okay, but very little attention is actually paid to the method of studying. A lot of students say, I have issues studying, I find it very difficult to study this and that. Please take note of these methods. They will really be of help when it comes to studying and helping others to study as well. Now, most students do not get much out of their hour of study because of poor study habits. That is to say, the study habit you imbibe, the study habit you inculcate is highly essential to your performance. So the reason why most students do not do so well or do not get enough out of the invested time in studying is because of poor study habits. Now, let's go into this. Method of study means ways, okay? Go into details of what is a good habit and what is a bad habit of studying, all right? We need to understand what it means by the method of studying. And when we say method of studying, we are simply talking about the approaches, okay? The approaches to studying. Method of study means ways or approaches toward studying. Now, what constitutes good studying habits include use of textbook, art, or note making, organization of work, revision and review of work. Let's do that again. What constitutes good study habits include the use of textbooks, art, or note making. Textbook, the art of note making. Now, you see that I keep emphasizing on the fact that if you're in the class, take note. All right, this note that you have taken is the basis, the foundation for the note you are going to make. And this note making is what will serve as a good reference, a good study point, a good source of studying when it comes to preparing for your exams. Although I give you my keynote during the exam, all right, and these keynotes are what I've taken my time to make. Okay, so now you see the very important element when it comes to efficient studying. The method of studying is what? The art of note making. That's the second thing out of the textbook, because you need the resource. It's from the resource that you make the notes. It's from the resource you take the notes. Like what we're having now, the class is also an art of textbook, because here we are giving information, but in a video content. Right? Textbook give information and give points in written content. Okay? So now we have the textbook, the material, then we have the art of note making. Then you have to organize your work. Okay? Then you do some revision and review of. This is exactly what we do. All right, this is exactly what we do in a private class. We get our materials, we make our notes, we organize our work, whereby we have the YouTube formation stage, we have Telegram interaction, and we go back to our revision. All these are organizing our activities accordingly. Okay, and also at the end of it all, we go back to our revision. All right, basically we review what we have thought, what we have learned on YouTube in the familiarization stage. Then we revise it on Telegram. And as I say, we can't have Telegram classes except we do YouTube classes, because the basis for Telegram classes is what we do on YouTube. Okay, so now, then after we are done with all this, we organize all the work, give assignments, past questions, practice questions and everything, TMA support and everything. Then we come back to the revision. Alright, the revision part of the whole thing, which we go back to YouTube, then we begin to answer questions, alright, just to enhance everything we have learned, we have been learning so far throughout the semester. Okay, so we have that as that. Living is learning. That's the point. Living is learning. For learning to be a pleasure, all right, for learning to be a pleasure and not a burden, students should cultivate good study habits. Okay, good study habits are all right, are essential to the art of studying. Okay, and these good study habits, cultivating them must be as early as possible. Okay, as early as possible, because it's an habit. It will take time for it to become part of you. Are we together? Living is learning, and for learning is supposed to be a pleasure, not a burden. Right? The moment you want to go and study and you are feeling it's wahala again, I hate this. No, it's supposed to be a pleasure, something you are used to, something that if you're not doing a day, you don't feel complete. You feel something is missing. All right. Studying should be a pleasure, not a burden. And for this to be a pleasure, not a burden, then as a student, you need to cultivate good study habits. Okay? You need to cultivate good study habits. And you need to do it as early as possible, so that your body can adjust, all right, gradually and in time. Now, let's continue. Now, let's talk about the use of textbooks. Studying cannot be successful unless understanding occurs. Okay, you cannot say you have studied if you don't understand what you have studied. Okay, it cannot be successful. Studying cannot be successful unless understanding occurs. Are we together? Now, in the first instance, avoid pointing at words and vocalization for such slow down learning. For example, if you are reading a book or you are studying from your material, okay, don't forget, like I said earlier, there are 3 stages to studying. You need to first get familiar with the material. And at the point of getting material, you cannot use what we call the study speed. Alright, you know, in just 101 we talked about scanning, skimming, study speed. Okay, when you are getting acquainted with your material, you cannot use study speed. Study speed is when you go through your materials at a very slow pace, right? Highlighting the words and grammars, checking the dictionary and everything. At that point, you are taking time to observe the details. That is the wrong thing to do if it's your first time. And that's why we do the familiarization phase on YouTube, because we get acquainted with the material first. When we get acquainted with the material first, then, right, we can now proceed to some other thing. So now it says here that underlining and pointing out vocalization, all right, and words is not a good start when you are getting used to the material. right? Because it slows down your learning. All right, there are a lot of new words you will meet in the material, and before you sort of all this new word, it might get you frustrated and you don't want to do anything again. All right, so we have that as that. Now, according to Akande in 2004, he enumerated the following as effective comprehensive strategy. All right, the things you need to do to understand your material perfectly. He said linking the previous knowledge acquired to the current knowledge. All right, that's what I said. First, get yourself acquainted. Then the second phase, you link these knowledges together. It helps you have a stronger and a better understanding. Understand, all right, for understanding of the passage, all right, being read, all right, to take place, the basic foundation, okay, the basic foundation needed is concentration. Okay, concentration is highly essential. Concentration is highly essential, okay, when it comes to comprehending. All right, I think I need to. Concentration is highly essential when it comes to comprehending your material. Full concentration. All right. Now, I said without concentration, the mind will just be wandering far and wide. So you need to debunk anything that might distract you and try to achieve that 100% concentration when you are studying. All right, it helps you to focus. Okay, so we have that as that. Now let's continue. He says focus your mind on the most important details while neglecting less important ones. You need to focus your mind on the most important details, and you need to neglect, all right, the unnecessary ones. So that is that on textbook. Now let's move to some other things. Now we have good note making. Okay, good note making. That's what we have next. Ensure the active participation. Now don't let's forget, when we say note making, is a time whereby you are making a note out of the note you have taken, either doing a lecture or while reading a magazine or maybe listening to a speech. Okay, at that point you are just trying to take down the point, but making the note down is more of you developing the point, and at this process you have a in-depth understanding of the note you have taken, doing note making. Are we together? Okay, so now ensure the active participation of students in the process of lesson. Definitely, you have to participate, all right, actively during the course of studying, right? Whether in lesson or in classes or in lecture theater, you have to participate. You don't want to miss out on anything. Encourage the student to listen with intent all right, with intent attention. That is the attention required for learning. Intent attention. Okay. So we have that as that. Now, for you to make a good note, endeavor to get to the class on time. Be familiar with abbreviations. All right. Definitely, when you are taking notes, you abbreviate. So now that you are now making notes, you need to understand the abbreviations you have used so that you can expand this note properly. Those points you have taken while in the class properly. All right. You also need to cultivate good listening and writing skills. You also need to cultivate listening skills that will enhance comprehension. Okay, listening skills that will enhance. Now we have the organization of work. Organization of work. Now when we say organization of work, simply means organizing your work. Okay, organizing your work. Now, organization of students as well as physical resources available in the classroom is an essential element, and that brings about good studying habits. Now, what we are being told here is that your learning environment has to be organized. In as much as you yourself as the learner need to be organized, so as your learning environment also have to be organized. Okay, now speaking of organizing the work, now we have the materials being organized, we have the classroom being organized, and we have a learner being organized. Now let's talk about time management and timetable. Okay, time management and timetable. One of the effective keys for studying is judicial time management. Okay, one of the effective key for studying is how well you use your time. How well do you use your time? Okay, so the time management needs to be done properly, that you might attend to all that you need to attend to. Okay, so we have that as that. Now let's continue. It says here that revision and revise work. Revision and revised work. Now, revision and revised work, revision and reviewed, I beg your pardon. Revision of work means an act of going over work that is done previously with the aim of improving one's knowledge, typically for an examination. All right, revision. All right, you can only revise what you have learned before. That's what it means here. While review implies a formal assessment. All right, review implies a formal implies a what? A formal assessment of something with the intention of bringing change. All right, are we together? Review now implies a formal assessment. All right, when you scrutinize something, assessment, okay, of something with the intention of bringing change if necessary. Okay, so we have that at that. Now we have physical environment of the classroom, very important, like I made mention of it. Also, it's always good to be clean, all right, and the teacher or the instructor himself needs to be clean, all right, and look what he speaks, all right, look what he addresses. Okay, he needs to always dress clean and smart. And the physical environment of the classroom means the classroom building. Okay, the physical environment of the classroom means the classroom building. All right, the outside and the inside of the classroom with our equipment, okay, tools and other financial, all right, other facilities. Okay, and physical environment of the classroom means the classroom building. All right, and this classroom building requires some, all right, equipment and tools to ensure that the class seats are swept and are in good shape. So we have that as that. Now we have something called preparation for exam, and the level of preparedness of the student determines to get a great extent the performance of the such student. Now, preparation for exam, when we talk about the level of preparedness of the student determines how well did you prepare for your exam, or how well you are prepared for exam will determine how great extent the performance, how great extent the performance of such a student. Okay, a student who has now preparation for exam is highly essential, and how well you do in your exam determines how well you prepare for the exam. Okay. So we have that as that, and we have okay, all right, and a student who has failed to prepare for his examination has planned to fail. Please underline that. A student who has failed to prepare for his examination has literally planned to fail. Okay, so now let's quickly look at this. Let's quickly look at this point. These are the basic things a student must do in preparing for examination. One, generally advisable that you should jot down notes while you are studying. All right, like I said, it is very important. Your keynotes are very, very important. when preparing for your exam. So you have your own, all right, and as the instructor of the classroom, I'm still going to give you mine as well, but you're expected not to share with anyone. It's exclusively for you and you alone. Okay, so we have that as that. Now we have such summary notes should be made in your own words and not a carbon copy of what. Now talking about note making, all right, what we have been doing that note making is highly essential, that students should quit buying, all right, from buying. Okay, now summaries notes should be made, all right, summary notes should be made in your own words, all right, so don't copy or paste. I mean, you can never be a member of the class and say you want to copy and paste. What do you want to copy and paste when everybody is in class taking classes? Also, you are there, you get your notes from the live stream, and that's it. So students should establish a relationship between facts in a textbook and some event outside the 8 all right, after the 8 relocation. So we have that as that. Basically, like I said, it's not going to be a long class. As you can see, we are done with the course EDU233. Okay. So now please let's do how to update our notes and keep them and submit them to the private group. Please and please, by next week we are taking on another course as we commence respectively. Thank you very much everyone, and I look forward to seeing you all in the subsequent tutorial. To have a wonderful afternoon. Bye bye.